Hi guys, my name's Rose and today we're going to be making fresh pasta. So let's get to it. So today we're going to need type 00 flour, 2 cups. The reason I suggest type 00 flour is because it's a softer flour opposed to a hard flour. It's lower in protein, lower in gluten and lower in starch. We're also going to need 2 eggs and some salt. So let's get to it. So once you've made your well in the middle, just make sure that you push it out because you may find otherwise it'll pour over onto the bench. We don't want extra mess that we don't need, especially with such an easy exercise such as making fresh pasta. A lot of people think that the process of making pasta is quite complicated, where in fact it is probably one of the easiest things that anyone can make. And what's better than having it fresh? So give it a mix from the middle. It may pour over, but that's okay. That's okay. I know the cameraman's panicking right now, but that's okay. So what you do is you slowly work the sides into your egg and expect to get your hands a little dirty. As long as they're clean and the bench is clean, we're all good. You'll find that the consistency will gradually become thicker, and by the time we get to the outside of the flour, we should have a grainy type ball. When I say grainy, don't expect that the gluten will have converted yet to a stretchy formation. Anyway, we'll get to that part in a moment. So you'll notice with the dough now that it is coming together. If you find that it's a little dry and not becoming a ball, you can add, or even just wet your hand slightly under the tap, and you'll find that even just a wet hand will ensure that it comes together. You don't want to add too much water or too much egg because you will make it either too sticky or too heavy if there's too much egg. So work with your dough and get a feel for it yourself. So make sure your bench is well floured and begin to knead the dough by stretching it forward and bringing it back. Stretching it forward and bringing it back. Then turning it around and doing it again. So stretch it forward and bring it back. Stretch it forward and bring it back. Stretch it forward and bring it back. And doing this allows the elasticity in the gluten to form. So you can see here that the dough is forming into a very nice soft formation. So what you do now to allow the gluten to rest is you wrap it in cling wrap and allow it to sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. So the dough is ready, and this is my favorite part. Get it out. You can see that it's quite shiny. I'll bring it over to the camera so they don't have to come to me. It's far more shiny now. And the gluten has softened, so it's come together nicely. Now everybody will need either a manual machine, or if you're lucky enough to have an electrical one, then that's great too. But you can also manually roll pasta if you want to do that. Just make sure that your bench is really well dusted in flour so that the dough doesn't stick. But today we're going to be doing the manual rolling, so we'll get started. So on the machine, across this knob, there are numbers. So it starts from 0 and it goes 1, 2, 3, all the way to number 9. It's personal preference, but for me, I like to go up to about number 7 or number 8 because I like my pasta slightly thicker. I don't like it too thin. So grab the dough, it's beautifully rested. You might want to cover, especially here in Australia with warm weather. It's always wise to have some cling wrap at hand because we don't want our dough drying out. So starting on 0, the idea is that we push the dough through We want the consistency to be at the right texture, which I guess you could say, if I had to describe it, would be smooth, without any bubbles, and come together. So you keep going on number 0 until you feel happy with the texture of your dough. I'm quite fussy, so I probably process it a little more than the average person, but I personally like my dough to be not only well textured, but a good shape as well. So when I pass it through the machine, it's nicely squared and even. So you can already see that the smoothness, that's actually probably a better way to describe it, once it's smooth. So I'm going to continue to work that through just a little bit more. So I have it in the texture that I want it now, and it's also fairly square. So I move my dial to number 1 and I begin the process. So from here on end, you don't really need to be fussing too much by processing it through over and over. It's quite... So we're going to cut the pasta now, which is exciting. So you take your handle out and you move it over. You place it on in the slot and you slowly work it through. Put your hand at the other end and we pull it like so. It's just beautiful. Okay, so there we have it. There's the beautiful pasta. And if we want to store it and not use it today, which I prefer to do, we have a pan prepared. I like to flick a little bit of extra flour over the pasta, give it a bit of a shake so that it drops through, and then with your finger do like a twirly kind of knot so that it doesn't stick in the freezer. Now we're going to start our spaghetti. So again, we run it through as we did before. So now we're up to stage 7. Work it through the machine nice and quickly. Such an easy process, we don't really need to be wasting any time unless we have a leisurely afternoon and just want to enjoy it, put on a bit of music, a little bit of vino, and we're on our way. So we're doing spaghetti. So we've moved the handle over to the spaghetti processor. That's what you want to call it. And you run it through like so. Cut it here because it's probably a bit long. Run it through. Pasta should be easy to handle. If it sticks together, well, maybe you added too much water or too much egg. So, beautiful spaghetti. Let's run this one through as well, nice and quickly. No mucking around. Put it through, and we're on our way. Beautiful. Beautiful pasta. So beautiful. What we're going to do now is we're going to freeze this baby for dinner tonight. Thanks for your time, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, turn the notification bells on so then you can be notified every single